good evening, everyone present out here. So today I'll be speaking on Supabase, which is basically a backend as a service for every project that we are going to create. Somewhat, we can say that it is an alternative to Firebase, which they are creating. So going ahead, I'll be explaining how we can say that it is an alternative to Firebase and what are the features and services that Supabase is offering us, and how it is good or better than Firebase in some terms. So, going starting with the introduction of it, it's an open source environment, and they are particularly for the Supabase development team is for particularly focusing on the things to make it open source, so that if someone wants to make it according to their project, they can of course clone the repositories and design it according to them. It provides all the backend supports for the particular product related to database, the cloud functions or the edge functions, we can say the real-time database and authentication stuff. So there are different features, these different features which they give offer to us for the backend thing. Thirdly, it is developed completely on above Postgres. So not only it just gives us a storage, like in if you want to opt for a database inside it, the database feature which they are offering. So we can use Postgres, but also the development of the complete Supabase is also done on the top of Postgres. It is supported by many frameworks, namely like Flutter, JavaScript, Angular, Next.js, React.js, or and many more. There are different they given on the documentation which is there on the official website. You can refer out how can we like integrate with different platforms, how can we use the different features by the packages which are already available in the market. So how can we integrate the usage of Supabase in our framework? If someone is like familiar with Firebase, so I'm being a Flutter developer, I'm explaining my pain. Like when I want to integrate the Firebase in my project, there are a lot of pain. We need to take the JSON files or the plist files. We need to make some changes inside the configuration files which are available right in the Android folder or the iOS or any other or any other you can say the platform folders that we get. Similar thing happens with the React if I want to integrate Firebase in it. So there are quite a lot of pain that we have to go through it or go like we have to do. But in case of Supabase, we just need to get the URL, the anonymous key or different keys that we get generated from the dashboard itself. We can just create the clients of the Supabase using the keys we got. Client mean basically the object of Supabase client class that we already have in the different packages that are available, and we can easily use the functions which are declared regarding to them. So these configuration stuffs become very easier, or the integration stuffs become very easier compared to Firebase. So this is the first pro I would say why to use Supabase. There are different packages available for different platforms, namely npm or bub.dev or any other like websites where the packages are available for respective frameworks. So you can look out to there for the integration of it. Coming down to different features, what are the features that Supabase is offering us? Firstly is authentication. So it offers us not only just the email and password authentication, but also magic links or the social providers and the phone login. So these are different logins authentication which Supabase is providing to us, and it has built-in authentication, authorization, and user management things. So you can check all the user details that have registered in your platform in the auth.users table, which gets created automatically while you use on this particular feature. And these are the different social logins which are being provided to us, which we can use through Supabase in our projects. So coming to authentication, authorization, and user management. So what are these different terms mean? So firstly, authentication is like to making a user register in my particular application or website or web app, whatever I'm creating. Secondly is the authorization, is what are the different tables I want that a particular user should use, or what are the different rows or what are the different columns that I need to give the access to a particular user. So there is something known as row level security, which can also be managed using the dashboard that is available. Okay, so if I am creating a table certain like products, so there are different columns of the product table, like the name of the product, inventory, the price. So I don't want normal users to get the access of the inventory column, so I can just apply the row level security in such a way that that particular user won't be able to access the inventory column, but an admin user can access that particular column. So in this way we can handle the row level security, and this thing can be done very easily using the dashboard, irrespective of doing any hard coding or uh, writing a script such and thing. But just using the dashboard we can easily go through it. JW tokens are also managed here automatically, so whenever a user registration takes place, or so you can manage the sessions, the login things, the logout things. So these are two different snippets which I have written using Dart. So these are the two different functions, like to sign in or sign out using an email and ID, email and password thing. So these are the different functions we can use to make a user register or log out in from our system. Going to the second feature that we have APIs, or we have auto generated APIs that we get for the database. Okay, so we can directly access the database using the package, or we can even use the REST APIs which are provided. So we can understand that the usage of a backend service is like we don't need that. Suppose if I'm creating an application in Flutter, I want to get some APIs. So I need to create a node project or any other backend project in order to integrate the Postgres DB to access the data through the PostgreSDB using the backend project which I'm creating. But if I use Supabase, I can easily use PostgreSDB inside Supabase, and I can directly access the database to my project without having a backend project, like a different backend project for my complete project. So this is the thing which, and the GraphQL APIs here are in the beta mode. So once they are also available, so it will make our life more easier. We can get auto generated APIs for the database. So you automatically, according to the tables you are defining, the indexing which you are doing, or the columns which you are defining, so you get the APIs automatically generated using a page which I'll show later on how we can use the dashboard. Then I will let you know how we can create different APIs without doing coding. A third feature which I'll have is the PostgreSDB, which I already explained, that they are offering us the PostgreSDB as the backend database to us. Okay, so the most best feature of Supabase is the dashboard which they are offering to us. So it has a very easy table view, not as complex as the Firestore database. In Firestore, if some users are entering any data, like doing any CRUD operations over there, it's very hard for us to query out the data, like what are the data that has been entered, what are the data which we need to modify, or supposedly if you want to look around what are the data that has been entered. So it's very hard over there, but over here we are getting a very user friendly dashboard which helps us to manage everything very easily. And also the visualization of the data has been done quite good in like very good format. Secondly, the relationships. Now if like I have linked, of course there are relationships in the SQL database that we are creating. So if there are any foreign keys that has been declared, so we can easily click on that particular row or that particular cell, and it automatically links us to that table. So like the pain of querying the data becomes very less. The duplication of tables can be easily done, like we are cloning different spreadsheets in our Excel. So just cloning the table is again is very easy over here. SQL editors are also provided to us in order to run or save the queries for future if we want to. We can also import or export the data using CSV that is available. Like it's a again these are some features which all are already offered by PHP MyAdmin according to my experience which I've used previously. These features were not there in Firebase, but over here these features are there. So this is a small snippet of the code which I like to share. So again, how we can interact with the database. So firstly, we just need to create the client, as I already told, that using the URL and the auth key which are provided to us, we can just then pass on the table names and select the queries. Even if you want to have some modifications in the select query, like applying any equal to operations or searching of the operations or using the pagination stuff. So these are different functions which are available to us. Then finally in the response we can get like a JSON data, which of course it sends us in the response. And thirdly, a explanation I have given how to insert a particular data inside my database using, again over here it follows a similar format as passing on the JSON data, and it inserts in the database. The best this is also one of the very good features which is available, which is the real-time database. So the pub sub technology, the pubs publishing and the subscriptions thing is used over here. So everything is based on the channels. So you can create different channels and using those different channels we can listen to all the interactions that are happening on the database. So how can we create channels over here? We can create channels on different tables. Like suppose I have 10 tables, but I only want to listen to two or three changes that are happening in two or three different tables. So we can easily just apply that channel related to those two or three tables only. Secondly, we also have an option that inside that table, suppose there are 10 columns, but I just want to listen to only four columns, the data changes that are happening on the four columns. We can use that. Even like if there are different four operations like creation, updation, or deletion, so I can apply my channels as that I just want to listen to all the insert queries that are happening in the products table. I just want to listen to all the update changes that are happening inside the products table. So in this way, we can create different channels. We can subscribe to those channels and we can listen to them using, of course, the functions which are available in the packages that we are importing in the project according to the framework we are using. The one channel which is already created, which is known as the Supabase real time, it listens to all the database changes that is happening. So it is a default channel which has been created by default. It listens to all the tables and all the operations that are happening, like create, insert, update, delete. Okay, all the CRUD operations. And one more thing, how this real-time database thing works is the replications feature. So Postgres has a feature which is replication of the database. So if I want to replicate a particular table, it tells like what are the, like suppose there are five different countries, so we are having five different Postgres servers for all the five countries due to the large number of users we are having in different countries. So suppose is a one single table, such as you can say news feed, the post which users are creating. So of course we create a replications of all the database. So the Postgres has a replication facility which it tells that which columns needs to be replicated in which table and which row needs to be replicated. So using this replication thing, Supabase guys have developed this real-time thing. So whenever you're creating a channel, so basically I'm creating a replication, and whenever any changes are done in the master table or whatever table that replication is dependent on, it notifies that particular channel. So using replication technique, we are using the real-time database over here. This is a small snippet where we can see how we are using Supabase to handle a real-time database. As like we can also create chat applications or any real-time applications we want. Firstly is of course create a client of Supabase. Secondly, we create a real-time subscription. So there are two things in which we can create. We can either get the streams of the data or we can just subscribe to that particular thing. So in the first example, you can see that I have created a client which has been connected to the channels, like on the countries table. If anything is happening on the countries table, so we get all the events using the subscribe, as I have already subscribed to it, and I have to write a callback regarding that. What are the things I need to do with the payload data I'm receiving, or what are the functions I want to perform. Second example is I am getting a stream of the data. So of course it is similar to that of streams that we get from Firestore. This function is again similar to the cloud functions of Firebase, which is the edge functions. Which is this but the difference is that the cloud functions of Firebase are executed in a node environment, but this is executed in again a Dino environment. It's an again open source environment available. It performs all the serverless functions like sending emails or any other activities related to database changes. If I want to send some registration emails or I want to do the different activities in my database according to the user activities being performed. So for all those stuffs, we have an edge function features which is available. It is somewhat similar to that of cloud functions. We can say that. Now we have storage features also available over here. So something similar to AWS S3 bucket storage. But again, Supabase is also using AWS bucket S3 bucket as their backend storage. They are just creating a layer for us in order to like store the things in their bucket, which originally gets stored inside the AWS S3 bucket. So it integrates with the rest of all the database features, all the Supabase features like the database or the authentication. Suppose I have 10 users inside my database. Now I just want that only two of the users will get access to all the files that are stored on there in the S3 bucket. So I can just write a row level security that these users are having the access to the database, to the bucket. So you can handle every features, all the features are connected with each other. Similarly, if you write something in S3 bucket, but if you're generating a node project, then you need to you need to have a flag in your database, or need to have any external component in order to provide the security in between both of them. But over here, Supabase is handling on its own. Like you can just declare what are the which users you want to give the access to the storage, or which users can only read or which users can only write. So these are all things which you can do using the sleek database. Again, it also gives us the preview of the files which are getting stored, like the small files, like the images or the text which are storing. And all the assets over here are saved on the basis of are cached on the basis of CDN, so content delivery network. What happens over here is, suppose I have two servers, one in the US, one in the UK. So 10 users have uploaded images from UK and 10 of them have uploaded from US. But someone from US is accessing the files of UK. So what happens is that for 10 minutes, that particular file is stored on a CDN and it is cached over there. And if some other user from US again requests for that similar file, it won't go back to the UK server, it will just look inside the CDNs. This makes the process faster. And if like I would say that if you want to increase the 10 minutes, the expiry time from 10 minutes to something more, you can do that by coding themselves. Okay. So this is again a small snippet which I have created for recording handling the storage thing. We need to create the client. We need to point out to the bucket. We can upload a file, or we can even download a file by passing the file names. This is the free tier which they are offering to us. Okay, so free tier, it gives us like 50,000 monthly active users, and these are the different bandwidth. And comparing to the Firebase, it has a reasonable pricing. Compared to Firebase, it has a lower pricing. And comparing it to Firebase, I will say that these are some functions which are features which are still pending in Supabase, like analytics or the cloud messaging or the dynamic links or the crashlytics which are there. But again, I will say these are all features which are available for free for every project in Firebase. So we can rely on Firebase regarding the analytics or the cloud messaging or the user engagement part which we say. And we can rely for the database thing on the Supabase for our production applications, where we are going to pay to Supabase. Moving ahead to the console, let me get you walk through. So this is what I created a database in order to handle my e-commerce project. So this is how you can easily manage all the tables. So you can see these are my different tables and these are my users. So in this way you can access all the database. Now over here I can see that this is a particular customer. I can click on it and I can get the data of all the data of that particular customer which is there stored. Okay, and this is what we can handle the authentication over here. You can even write different email templates in order to send it to different users whenever you want. This is how you can handle all the storage. Over here we need to create different buckets. This is the SQL editor which is available in order to create the tables or do any SQL thing that we want. We can even save the queries over here. And this is how we can access all the database tables. You can define different roles or different triggers, functions, and here you can get all the logs that are getting access by users. This is a part where we can write edge functions. And moving on to the API part. So over here you can see how we can get different types of API. This is what I was sharing, that this is how we can access all the API docs of the tables which I'm creating. Suppose I have a cart table. So accordingly you can make different queries and you can get that particular either the curl queries or the JavaScript functions directly prepared. If you want to access any data or you want to modify, you want to add filtering or insert rows, update rows, you can see all the functions are getting predefined over here. So you can get auto generated APIs over here.